want to give my dad some sort of fragrance. You know, I want to go to Sephora and pick and choose. What? Right now,
Yeah.
my life is like up.
Yeah. Yeah.
It is.
Listen here, honey. If you thought the worst thing happening to Wendy Williams was being locked up in what she's calling a luxury prison, you are about to get the wake-up call of the century. And let me tell you something that's making my blood run cold. Her ex-husband Kevin Hunter and that production team, they were keeping her just functional enough to stumble into work and do that show. But wait, it gets even more sinister because Sharina Hudson knew about everything. The level of cold-blooded nastiness that was happening behind those studio doors. I genuinely don't think any of us are emotionally prepared for what's about to come out. But here's a glimmer of hope in all this darkness. Our queen Wendy, she's finally done playing their twisted games. She's ready to snatch back her power, and honestly, it's about time. If you've been paying attention, you've seen her recent interviews where she's fighting tooth and nail to regain control of her finances and decisions. And baby, it's causing quite the storm, as it should. Let's rewind to 2022 for a moment. Remember when Wells Fargo dropped that bombshell? They had the audacity to claim Wendy was incapacitated and supposedly being financially exploited. They slapped her with that guardianship faster than you can say, "How you doing?" But our girl wasn't about to take that lying down. She fired back with both barrels, accusing the bank and her former financial advisor, Lori Schiller, of conspiring to mismanage her money.
Well, by now you know exactly who Lori Schiller is for me. Not good. I began to ask questions about what's going on with my money. And she's got no answers for me.
Child, this whole situation has been messier than a toddler with finger paint. We're talking multiple rehab stays, various illness diagnoses being thrown around like confetti, Kevin Hunter dragging her through court for his precious alimony, and that guardian, Sabrina Morsi, keeping Wendy isolated from her own flesh and blood. And now they've got the nerve, the absolute nerve, to declare her cognitively impaired and permanently incapacitated. No wonder Wendy called it what it is, a joke.
You know what I'm saying?
They said you're cognitively impaired and you're incapacitated.
Do I seem that way?
No.
You've been
God
calling,
damn it.
You've been calling me 5 times a day for the last 2 weeks. No, you don't seem that way.
And just how dare, excuse me, who I naturally am is who I naturally am, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Yes.
And my niece knows all about that. I'm sorry. I apologize.
And to be clear, you can't leave. Like, they won't allow you to leave or have visitors, family members or not. So you can't even leave and take a walk if you wanted to. Or
Now buckle up, buttercups, because I'm about to serve you the most scalding hot tea about how Kevin Hunter and that production team were allegedly poisoning our girl for years. This is where things get darker than a midnight storm, so listen closely. Everyone who followed Wendy knew she was plotting this magnificent comeback to radio after kicking Kevin to the curb. But honey, when Kevin caught wind of it through those industry whispers, he wasn't about to let his golden goose fly away. What they allegedly did next is so diabolical it makes soap operas look tame. They were drugging her through her daily cup of tea. Y'all remember how Wendy would always make such a show of putting her own tea bag in that cup during the show? Well, here's the twisted part. She wasn't the one adding the hot water. Someone on that production team was allegedly being used as their personal poisoner, slipping something into her drink right under everyone's noses. And those effects? Lord have mercy, they started showing up clear as day on camera. All those moments when Wendy seemed out of it, that infamous fall in that green suit that had everyone talking, it's all clicking into place now like a horrifying puzzle. They were allegedly keeping her just medicated enough to function for the show, planning to use her until she was all used up, then toss her aside like yesterday's newspaper. I know this sounds like something straight out of a Hollywood horror story, but think about it, sweethearts. How many times have we seen stars being used by these industry vultures and then mysteriously vanishing from the spotlight? This isn't new territory in these streets. And Wendy? She was apparently their perfect target, served up on a silver platter. But wait, because this tea is about to get even hotter. Wendy watchers are coming out of the woodwork saying they remember specific episodes where she actually called out her team on air. She straight up said something like, "If you're going to put a pill in my tea, at least stir it well so I can't see the residue." I'm not drinking that. The boldness, the audacity. The sheer disrespect. And let's talk about that producer who mysteriously self-deleted after Wendy left the show. They tried to feed us some story about stolen money, but honey, something in this milk ain't clean. Was he about to blow the lid off this whole operation? Remember that wellness check at Wendy's house when there were whispers about Kevin poisoning her? What if that wasn't just paranoia talking? What if it was the truth trying to bubble up to the surface? This whole situation has got me wondering about Norman and Susan. Did they know what was going down? We need them to sit down and spill their truth about these allegations, because something isn't adding up, and the numbers we're getting aren't making sense. Right now, Wendy's situation is breaking hearts across the nation. She's trapped in this New York facility, her luxury prison as she calls it, and let me tell you what they're doing to her. They're bringing all her meals to her bed and controlling her medication, some of which she's side-eyeing hard, wondering if she even needs it. And get this, most people there are in their 80s and 90s, with the younger ones dealing with serious health issues. But Wendy, she knows she's different, and she's not afraid to say it.
Where the people are in their 90s and their 80s and their 70s, and even when people are 60 like me, hey, I'm sexy and gorgeous. You know, I am 60. Look, please, July 18th, 1964, honey. But look, these people, I don't care if they're 50 and 60, they have look, there's something wrong with these people here.
The restrictions they've put on our girl are absolutely criminal. No phone calls, no laptop, no iPad, just sitting in her room day after day like some modern-day Rapunzel. It's like they're trying to erase her from the world completely. And her family? They're beside themselves with worry, watching their loved one trapped in this gilded cage. A source close to the situation just leaked that Wendy's under such strict guardianship, her family can barely get within shouting distance. They're getting louder about fighting these ridiculous rules, and baby, I am here for their rebellion. All they want is to spend time with her, take her shopping, get some ice cream, do normal family things that we all take for granted. But they're being blocked at every turn, like they're trying to visit a maximum security prison. The guilt is eating them alive, knowing things have spiraled this far out of control. But here's the catch-22. Their hands are tied up tighter than a Christmas present by all this legal mumbo-jumbo. They're praying for changes, but the system, it's working against them harder than a treadmill on maximum speed. Now, I know what's running through your minds. Why haven't they done more to help? But child, it's more complicated than a Rubik's Cube. Like Wendy said herself, the system is completely messed up. They can't just swoop in like superheroes without facing consequences that could make everything even worse.
This system is broken. You know, this system that I'm in, this system it has falsified a lot. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying?
They said you're cognitively impaired and you're incapacitated.
Do I seem that way?
No.
You've been calling me 5 times a day for the last 2 weeks. No, you don't seem that way.
But don't think for a second that the family's staying quiet. They just dropped this powerful statement about Wendy's guardianship and her fight for self-determination that's got everyone talking. Their main focus? Making absolutely sure Wendy's best interests are being served and helping her regain control of her own life, as it should be. They're speaking about her like the queen she is, calling her an extraordinary individual who's inspired countless people through her career and personal strength. They're fighting for her basic right to live with dignity and make her own choices, free from all this manipulation and control. And let me tell you about what Alex is doing. He's launched this GoFundMe page aiming to raise $50,000 to cover those mounting legal fees and help get Wendy out of that facility. The description will bring tears to your eyes. Talking about how she's been unjustly placed under guardianship, labeled as incapacitated despite her fierce determination to live independently. This guardian has practically built a wall between Wendy and everyone who loves her, friends, family, her entire support system. Being isolated in New York is wearing down her spirit, and all she wants is to move to Miami to be with her family. Can you believe they might not even let her fly down for her daddy's 94th birthday? She's calling this guardian her hostage taker, and honestly, that might be the understatement of the century. Thank heavens Wendy's still able to speak up and expose all this madness. And Kevin Hunter being allegedly involved in this whole scheme, that's just twisted beyond belief. Makes you wonder if he's still profiting from her suffering or if maybe he's fighting Sabrina in court because his old conspirators decided he wasn't useful anymore and threw him under the bus. The legal situation is probably keeping Wendy from spilling all the tea she's got stored up. That's likely why she had Alex with her during the Breakfast Club interview. But our girl is smarter than they give her credit for. She'll find a way to expose everything, including how they were allegedly poisoning her all those years. Just thinking about Kevin allegedly orchestrating all this with the production team makes my blood pressure rise. The thought that they could do this to someone, drug them, control them, isolate them, it's like something out of a psychological thriller, except this is real life, honey. This is happening to our Wendy. But you know what gives me hope? Wendy's strength. Despite everything they've thrown at her, she's still fighting. She's still speaking out. She's still trying to reclaim her life and her voice. And that's the Wendy we know and love. A fighter through and through. This whole situation is a stark reminder of how the entertainment industry can chew people up and spit them out without a second thought. It's a warning about how quickly things can go wrong when the wrong people get too much control over someone's life. As this story continues to unfold, one thing's for certain. We haven't heard the last of this scandal. More truth bombs are going to drop, more revelations are going to shock us, and hopefully, justice will finally be served. Because Wendy deserves better than this. She deserves her freedom, her dignity, and her life back. What do y'all think about this whole mess? Because honey, this story is far from over, and something tells me there are still more shocking revelations waiting in the wings. Keep your eyes peeled and your ears open because this tea is just starting to simmer.